Welcome back to the Kerbal Space Program. In our last mission, we saved Jebidiah from Minmus and collected valuable scientific data, which allowed us to unlock new technologies. Allow me to present to you Kerbal International Spaceship Mark 1. Look at this beast. We never built anything like that. And this ship will take our brave Kerman to Duna. Interplanetary travel is much harder and requires specific target window, the time when transfer from planet to planet is much easier to achieve than normally. For that, we create a special alarm that will warp us to the time when Duna and Kerbal are aligned. And here we go. Our target is achieved. Weather is good, everything is stable, and we're ready for launch. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! As you see, we are not using our liquid fuel boosters in the first stage. We're just using this massive amount of solid rockets. They will take us through the thickest part of the atmosphere and give us initial speed. Otherwise, it is going to be normal orbital entry, so I'm going to speed up this sequence. See you in orbit. As you can see, solid rocket boosters provided us approximately 400 meters per second of speed and got us to approximately 12,000 meters. We start our gravity burn and our Spargeous staging is doing its work perfectly. And our apopsis is 80,000 meters. So cut our thrust and going to time warp to it to circularize our orbit. And we're almost there, and burn. The panel on the right side of the screen is the new plugin which we're using for our program. It is called Kerbal Flight Engineer and provides us valuable data about our ship. Things like our orbital information and complete information about delta V of all our stages. A very, very important part for any kind of spaceship. Knowing this, we know how much exactly of delta V we have at any given moment and if it's going to be enough for our goal. So we are almost in orbit, just the last circularization burn, and now we can start our transfer to Duna. Let's select Duna as our target, and according to the research I've done, what we need to do is put our screen like this, so that sun is literally like a center of clock. Duna is approximately at 1 p.m. and Kerbal is approximately at 3 p.m. And then we're going to execute our burn at approximately 5 o'clock. That is not 5 o'clock time and not the tea time. That is position of our burn relative to the sun. We're performing some tweaking and we see a close encounter, but still no capture. A very close encounter, almost there. And now let's perform some tiny tweaks. As you can see, there was a small capture window. Here it is. and we have an encounter. Just need to perform some tweaking to make sure that our encounter is better than one we had in the beginning. This part is obviously sped up because it takes too much time and the changes are very negligible to actually see them. We're finding our node on the nav ball, creating an alarm, and I'm warping to it to execute the actual burn. Everything is sped up to 4 times for your pleasure. And our burn is go. I'm actually speeding it up also in game. So it's 16 times speed. And we're almost there. Let's drop our thrust so that we don't miss our window. And almost there. It's like only a couple of meters per second now. And done. Our capture is achieved. But before we depart the planet Kerbin, we need to perform some minor tweaks to our capture so that our apoapsis is as low as possible. Here you see me performing this maneuver node, doing tiny corrections, hopefully lowering our apoapsis to where we need it to be. So I node this here, and let us perform the burn. Very tiny thrust, not to overshoot it. At such long orbits, overshooting is not easy. It's very easy. Hold your button for 1 second too long, and instead of Duna capture, you run permanent orbit around the sun. Not something we need. And let us time warp somewhere closer to the Duna. This will be sped up approximately 8 times to make it more watchable. And woo! We are much closer to Duna when we were. So, let us do our one of the final course corrections. On our approach, we're going to perform series of such corrections, each one bringing our apoapsis lower and lower. Here we see a failed attempt, and we are going for another one. And another failure. Because at the moment it is actually kinda hard to judge where exactly is the minmus Duna. It's very hard to see because our zoom level is so high that we don't actually see the planet itself, and we can't even judge which side we are approaching. But it appears that this node is going to perform his duties, and we are burning. We have to be very careful to perform our burns exactly as they are stated in the maneuver node, or we risk to overshoot and just leave the Duna behind. And this is going to be one of our final orbital corrections before we actually enter this sphere of influence of Duna. As you can see, our apoapsis is already much lower than it were when we began. And we are approaching our node and executing this tiny burn. And as you see, it actually fails because we overshoot and we were going to crash into Duna. And now you can see me derping around, turning back and forth, trying to get our apoapsis around 10,000 meters so that we will air brake around Duna and end up in orbit. As you'll see later, this is going to fail spectacularly. What I'm trying to do is turn prograde and retrograde more or less to either speed up and rise our apoapsis or slow down and move it back down. And we captured by Duna. But what is it? Our orbital plane is a very interesting. Instead of nice equatorial orbit, we find ourselves in practically a polar orbit. What are we going to do about it? To change our plane, we need to burn perpendicularly to our orbit, either up or down. In this case, we are going to burn down to make sure that our orbit becomes what we need. Halfway through the process, I decided that making it with a maneuver node might be actually a better idea and will actually show us better results. So here I'm trying to set up a maneuver node. Actually not an easy feat in such circumstances because it tends to wobble a little bit for one reason or another. So as you see, I'm trying to desperately to create a maneuver node, but it's either too early or too late. And here we go. I think this one is going to be the one we're going to use. And yes. So let us time warp, find it on the nav ball, and perform our little burn. As you can see, now we are going into approximately equatorial orbit. And on this note, let us end this episode. Next time, we're going to perform a Duna landing, do some science, and return home. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.